My name is Michael. I'm 28 years old. I work as a warehouse supervisor in a shipping company here in Houston. The job isn't glamorous, but it's steady. It pays enough to keep my life on track. I live alone in a small apartment, not far from the docks. It's quiet, nothing fancy, but it's mine. I never cared much about luxury or chasing attention. What I wanted was simple: peace, stability, and someone to share my life with. For a while, I thought I had that. Her name was Emily. She was 26, worked at a local cafe, and had this warm laugh that made people stop and notice her. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. When she walked into a room, people turned their heads. Somehow she chose me, and from the first time we talked, I felt like I'd finally been noticed. Emily and I had been together for 3 years. To everyone around us, we looked perfect. Friends would say, "You two are made for each other." And for a long time, I believed that too. She was my comfort, my safe place, the one person I trusted more than anyone else. But here's the thing about trust. When it breaks, it doesn't just fall apart quietly. It shatters, and the pieces cut deeper than you ever imagined. At first, everything with Emily felt easy. We laughed. We shared meals late at night. We made plans for the future. But slowly, little things started to change. She began coming home late. At first, she said it was because the cafe had extra shifts. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She had always been hardworking. But then the excuses kept piling up. One night, she said she stayed late because a co-worker needed help closing. Another time, she claimed her manager kept her for inventory. And sometimes, she wouldn't say anything at all. I'd ask, "How was work?" She'd shrug, avoid eye contact, and walk past me like the question annoyed her. It didn't feel like her. This wasn't the Emily I knew, the one who used to tell me every little detail about her day, even the boring parts. I tried to ignore it. I told myself, "Michael, maybe she's stressed. Maybe she's just tired." But my gut whispered something else. The more I tried to push the doubts away, the louder they got. Then came the small lies. She once said she was meeting an old friend, but when I asked who, she couldn't remember their name. Another night, she said she was at the grocery store, but the bags she brought home didn't match the story. It was like she stopped caring if the details made sense. And when I finally asked her directly, she laughed. Not a soft laugh, but a sharp, mocking one. "Michael, you're overthinking again. Don't be so dramatic." Her words stung, not just because she denied it, but because I saw something in her eyes. Not guilt, not fear, but contempt, like I was too stupid to see what was happening, like my trust was nothing but a joke to her. That laugh was the first real crack in the picture-perfect love I thought we had. And once a crack forms, it only grows deeper. The night I finally saw the truth is burned into my memory. Emily had told me she was working late again. Her voice on the phone was rushed, distracted. Something about the way she spoke didn't sit right with me. That night I couldn't sit still. I paced the living room, staring at the clock, telling myself to trust her. But the more I tried, the heavier that sick feeling grew in my chest. So for the first time in our relationship, I did something I never thought I'd do. I grabbed my keys, and I followed her. I kept my headlights dim as I trailed her car through the streets of Houston. Every turn she made tightened the knot in my stomach. Finally, she pulled into a small restaurant on the edge of town, a place we had never gone together. I parked far enough away to stay hidden, and then I saw it. A man was waiting outside, tall, dressed sharp, leaning against his car like he had been there before. And then she walked right up to him. The way she smiled, it was the same smile she once saved only for me. The kind of smile that makes your heart race. But now she was giving it to him. They hugged. Not the polite kind of hug you give a friend. No, this was different. Her arms lingered around his neck. His hand stayed at her waist, and then they laughed together, walking inside like a couple who belonged to each other. In that moment, the truth hit me so hard I couldn't breathe. I sat frozen in my car, staring, wishing my eyes were lying to me. But they weren't. Emily, the woman I trusted more than anyone, was already giving her heart to someone else. My hands trembled against the steering wheel. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to demand answers. But I didn't. Instead, I drove away in silence. Because deep down, I realized something. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of something else.
She thought she had broken me.
But what she didn't know was that betrayal doesn't always destroy a man. Sometimes, it builds the fire that burns everything she thought she had. When I got home that night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the clock tick. Every second felt heavier, louder. I kept hearing her laugh in my head, the way she looked at him, the way she looked through me. For hours I replayed it all, her excuses, the late nights, the lies she wrapped in fake smiles. And the more I thought about it, the clearer one thing became. I was done being her fool. She believed she had me under control. She thought I was too soft, too naive, too broken to ever push back. And maybe that's why she felt bold enough to betray me in the open. Because in her mind, I was harmless. But that night, sitting alone in the quiet, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. No, I was going to be patient, silent, careful. And when the time was right, I would show her who I really was. From that moment on, I played my role perfectly. When she came home late, I smiled and asked nothing. When she lied, I pretended to believe her. I gave her the comfort of thinking I was still blind. But behind that mask, I was watching everything. I was taking notes. I was waiting for her to dig her own grave, one lie at a time. She thought I was broken, but she had no idea. I was only sharpening the pieces. I didn't rush. Revenge isn't a wild charge. It's a quiet, slow thing. It needs time. It needs proof. It needs control. The first thing I did was collect truth. I started small. Screenshots of messages when the phone was left on the table. Times and dates of nights she said she worked late. Little things that didn't match up with the stories she told. I kept it all in a folder on my laptop, neat and dated. I learned to read the ways people slip. A name dropped accidentally. A place mentioned in passing. A photo that showed more than she meant to show. She wasn't careful with the people who made her feel special. They thought they were being quiet. They weren't. People always talk when they think no one is listening. At work, I studied patterns. When she said she had shifts, which nights did she really? When she said she closed early, who was with her? I mapped it out like a route on a map. It started to look like a trail that led straight to the truth. I also needed witnesses. Not for drama, but to make sure the story couldn't be easily shoved away. I reached out to a few friends, not to complain, but to quietly ask questions. Who had seen her at that cafe late? Who had seen her with the man I'd followed? People remembered more than you think. They told me the little things she never meant to leave behind. Then I made a plan for when I would reveal it. I wanted her to lose the stage she'd built for herself, the smiles, the fake stories, the approval. So I picked a time when everyone she cared about would be there. I wanted the truth to land where it mattered, in front of her friends, her family, the people who had praised her. I practiced staying calm. I rehearsed the words I'd say so my voice didn't crack. I pictured her face when the room went silent and the truth sat heavy between us. I wanted her to feel the exact weight of what she had done, not from anger, but from the clarity of facts. But even as I planned, a part of me worried. Was I becoming the person I hated? Was this revenge or something darker? I told myself the reasons. She had made choices. She had lied and humiliated me. I wasn't trying to ruin her life for spite. I wanted justice, the kind that clears your name and shows the truth. When the day came close, my palms got cold. I wanted to turn back, but I also wanted the peace that comes after the truth is out. And then came the night I chose, a night when all the pieces would finally be visible under the light. Would I have the courage to stand and speak? Or would the plan fold like all my hopes had once folded? I stood at the edge of the moment, listening to my own heartbeat, waiting for the right time to walk into the room and pull the curtain back. It was a Saturday evening. Emily had planned a small dinner for her birthday. Nothing too big, just friends, a few family members, and some co-workers from the cafe. She wanted it to look perfect. She wore her best dress, did her hair in soft curls, and walked around the apartment glowing with confidence. To her, this was her night. A night where she would be praised, admired, celebrated. I let her have that. I smiled. I helped set the table. I even poured her a glass of wine before the guests arrived. Because I knew it was the last time she'd ever smile that way with me by her side. When people arrived, the room filled with laughter. Everyone hugged her, told her how beautiful she looked, how proud they were of her. She stood in the center of it all, soaking in the attention like a queen. And I waited. I waited until the food was served, until the music softened, until everyone's eyes turned to me. They expected me to give a toast, something sweet, something about love, about how lucky I was to have her. I stood with my glass in hand, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. And then I spoke. At some point in life, I began, my voice steady, you discover who truly stands by you, and who only pretends. The laughter dimmed. People tilted their heads, unsure where I was going. Emily's smile twitched, confusion flashing across her face. I continued. For 3 years, I believed Emily was my partner, my best friend, the person I trusted above all else. I paused, let the silence hang. But trust is fragile, and once it breaks, it can never be the same. I reached into my pocket and pulled out folded papers, printouts of screenshots, messages, photos. My hands didn't shake. Not this time. This, I said, holding them up, is the truth she's been hiding. The nights she wasn't working late. The messages she didn't mean for me to see. The man she thought I'd never find out about. The room went silent. Chairs creaked as people shifted uncomfortably. Eyes darted between me and Emily, her face drained of color. She tried to speak. Michael, stop! But I cut her off with just one sentence. No, you stop. Tonight isn't about your lies anymore. Tonight, it's about the truth. I laid the papers on the table where everyone could see. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I simply stepped back and let the truth do what it always does. Expose. Emily stood frozen, her mouth open but no words coming out. The room she once ruled over now stared at her with judgment, confusion, betrayal. The whispers started. The shock spread, and me, I didn't need to say another word. I set down my glass, turned my back, and walked out of the door. Because my revenge wasn't anger. It wasn't destruction. It was silence. The silence of a man who no longer carried her lies. The silence of someone who finally proved her wrong. When I walked out of that room, I didn't look back. I could still hear voices behind me. Whispers, gasps, the sound of her trying to explain herself. But I didn't stop. I didn't need to, because the truth had already done its job. That night I drove through the city in silence. No music, no distractions, just the steady hum of the engine and the strange calm that filled me. For the first time in months I felt free. It was like a weight I'd been carrying had finally fallen off my shoulders. But freedom doesn't erase memories. The image of her laughing with him still haunted me. The way she mocked me when I questioned her. The lies she told so easily. She called me the next morning, 5 times, 10 times. By noon, my phone had more than 20 missed calls. When I finally answered, her voice cracked. Michael, please. You didn't have to do that. We can talk. We can fix this. I listened, but I didn't feel anything anymore. No anger. No longing, no love. Emily, I said calmly, you broke something that can't be fixed. And then I ended the call. She didn't give up. For weeks, she tried to reach me. Texts, emails, showing up at my apartment door. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she screamed. But none of it mattered, because the truth was already out. Her family knew. Our friends knew. Even some of her co-workers heard about it. The image she built, the sweet, perfect, loyal girlfriend, had collapsed. And no amount of begging could rebuild it. Meanwhile, I started to heal. I focused on work, on myself, on the parts of my life I had ignored while trying to hold our relationship together. And every day I grew stronger. She thought betrayal would break me. But all it really did was show me who I was without her. And for the first time in years, I liked that person.